What is going on, eaters and feeders? Just looking up to the camera that's not there, going right from my great start, really professional. Anyway, we're going to be talking about I'm going to be walking you through a meal prep specific pro forma. Pro forma is, I don't even know if I'm using the term correctly because I didn't get my MBA, but from what I understand it to be, the way it was described to me is basically a big old calculator with all of your numbers in a way to get an idea of what your expenses, what your profit, all those numbers, what they're going to be, and try to predict based on what you think scaling is going to look like, where you're going to be, making some big chunks of change. You could run through different scenarios based on hypothetical volumes and getting certain costs down. But before we get into that, please, if you haven't done so already, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to maybe give me the likes, but definitely have the alert notification on. I'm going to be going live randomly. I've tried to stick to a schedule, and I've explained this to everyone before. I'm just, my life is a little bit too crazy to stick to a schedule. And I think it's a little bit more authentic when I'm able to just go live when I feel like going live. I've actually had stuff on a Tuesday, and it's like, I told them I wasn't going live till Sunday. And I have something to share on Tuesday, but let me wait till Sunday, and then something comes up Sunday, and I end up going on. So in any case, make sure that alert bell's on. So not only do you get the regular episodes, which I'm putting out weekly, but also with my live stuff. If you're interested in software, as you can see here, we've got a slew of things, software being up here. That's what everyone's really excited about now. I've been around the game for a long time. And the software that we are working on or working with is pretty amazing. It's not my software, but we are actually as of right now, it's the 12th of August. We have a guinea pig group going through the meal prep software, and they are the brave space monkeys who are going and doing all the experimentation for us so that we know that it's safe for the rest of us. And they right now, I've got a handful of them going through the different stages of the enrollment process, getting all the data in. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's very exciting because we're just going through one stage at a time, and everything's progressing really smoothly. And we have some more developments this week, which by the time some of you are watching this is all going to be old stuff anyway. So let's get right into the pro forma. Right, we're going to add to stream. And this is what we're looking at. Let me switch over to that screen. So now this is something that I made. This is actually something I learned to do. The first time I saw one was with a previous business, and I just fell in love with them. I'm a big nerd for databases and spreadsheets, and I just love automating stuff and scripts and codes and stuff like that. So this was one of the first things, and this is something I made years ago when we first started Fit Food Fresh, before we had, anything fancy. I probably made this before we even had a website up. And it's obviously gotten more and more complex over the years. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you've probably heard of me discuss the Beast 6, which is an ordering system that I made on spreadsheets. And it's very, very complex, way more complex than this, way more tons of tabs and formulations and cross formulations and all this automated stuff that allows you to run a meal prep business on a spreadsheet. And I give it away for free. So if you're just in your infancy and you have like a really basic system, it'll definitely be something that you'll dig. But then we also have, the more legit software that actually is web-based, and it's all fancy, and it's not on a spreadsheet, but it is also $0 a month for those of you who are already in operation. You have, a good amount of clients going, and it's maybe probably getting too hectic to run off a spreadsheet, and you want something a little bit more automated. That's an option too. That's the software that I was referring to that's on the side there. But in any case, there's probably going to be a link to all that stuff below. That's another thing I forgot to mention, the links. Now, if you guys are new, you don't know this, but I'm skipping the intro on this video. Normally I have an intro, but I figured I was just going to wing it and try to do it all in one take, just to save me some friction. It's all about low friction. So in any case, now finally talking about the pro forma. Here we go. This bad boy, and you can get a copy of this as well, 100% for free. money back guarantee, of course. All the calculations should be right, but you'll get a copy of this if you want to fill out the form. I'll put it somewhere in the auto emails that go out. But go ahead, click those links. Whatever you want to do. If you're watching this video, you're interested in meal prep stuff, click those links, fill out the forms, get the free stuff, and start kicking ass. The way I've broken this down is all of these shaded cells are the ones that you would edit. Everything else that has a number in it, if it's not shaded, that means it's not a number that you want to edit, and it's probably a formula. See, I've got all these formulas in here, and some of them get pretty complex. So this stuff, see, no formulas, just straight data. And let's go through some of this. I haven't actually looked at this in quite some time. I found it and I was like, oh, I got to make a quick video of this. So kind of going to explore it together because I skimmed over it, but not too. Look, I even got a pretty little graph. So over here on this side, the white label side, to explain that, even though this is probably not the best place to start, the white label side is, I built this for a scenario. This scenario that we first used it for was actually a local cafe. I'm not going to say who. But they have a very similar sounding name, and we often get confused for them. A local cafe actually paid us to make their meals, and their food quality improved significantly from what we heard. And they basically had a deal where they were paying $6 wholesaling the food from us. And I'm also going to tell you guys, this is not legal to do this. You're supposed to wholesale food, you're supposed to be doing it in a USDA facility. So that's not advice to do this. Now, in that situation, we were in, it's a very, very low volume. And really, I believe the risk would be on the person reselling it. But in any case, that's not my advice to tell you to do this. But if you happen to have a USDA facility or a similar relationship, or just want to run this through, there is a calculator in here, which we can change. So $6 would be the wholesale price, how much they were paying per meal. And that's just a hypothetical. And then our food cost, and that would be factoring in labor. And then, if we had an affiliate who we're paying commission on, and then total profit. Yeah, affiliate. Oh, no, that would be their profit. I'm sorry, the affiliate commission. Okay, so this would be a scenario where we make $2. Okay, so it costs us $4 to make it. We sell it for $6. They sell it for $9. They profit $3, which is pretty good. They have no waste. It's a pretty good deal actually for them. And then we end up profiting $2. So everyone's happy. They may make more than us on that deal, but at that time we just wanted volume. At that time, they didn't know this, but they were actually bigger than us. We made it seem like we were just like acting like we weren't impressed with their numbers. But like, I remember walking out, we're like, this would more than double us overnight. It's like, yo, you think we can handle it? It's like, we better be able to. And we were, and we've done that. We've done that a couple of times. There's like, hey chef, we're going to double. Yeah, this one was nowhere near as bad as the most recent one. Check out Hell Week if you want to see that video series. This would be the number of clients. So how many people? So I'll show you. Let's put some number in. Let's say they had 100 people, and boom, does all the calculations. So our monthly profit in that scenario would be $8,666 for us just making the food and letting them sell it and manage the clients and attract the clients and all that other stuff. So that's just one of the parts. Now, again, let's say you don't have a white label relationship set up like that, or private label. White label, private label, if you don't know the term, it's they're interchangeable from what I understand. I don't know what the difference would be, but I don't think there is one. You're able to calculate your food costs. As I mentioned before, this scenario, we're estimating it to be $4, and that would be, this is put in here. So as you can see, it's shaded. So this table won't calculate your food cost for you, although it wouldn't be, you could get a rough estimate basically by taking whatever the cost of, and in this intention, this is the meal cost. So this is with labor, the meal cost is what is intended to go in here. So you would take the cost of your labor, which you would have in here, And then I think I have the cost of food. You'd have the average cost of food. Here it is, food cost down here. So this would be a way to get an average, but to be the bestest business person you can be, you would independently come up with this number and get it down, pretty specifically as to what your average is. But a really, if you guys have no experience and you honestly don't have any idea of how to start even getting a food cost average, really, really simple way. Again, you want to get more specific because you want to know which meals are more profitable as well. There might be some meals that are loss leaders after the material costs. You factor in the waste, what you're selling it for, and the cost to make it and whatever else. So you do want to know the specific meal cost, but a really easy way to kind of figure it out and fake it would be how much money did you spend on food that week? How many units did you make? And how much the other number would be the labor. Now, if you're doing it yourself, you have to figure out what you would have to pay somebody to do whatever you're doing. So if you're doing chef level stuff for 6 hours a day and then, prep level stuff for 2 hours a day, like factor in that difference if you really want to get specific. But I don't like the habit of, oh, well, I'm making the food myself, so I'll just put the labor cost at 0. That's not scalable. Eventually you're going to have to hire somebody. That is a cost. You're just able to absorb it because you are your business. You are the production team at that point. And I know a lot of you guys have to go that route. Thankfully, we're not chefs. So when we started, we didn't have that option because I know that's got to be a really hard thing to break yourself from. But it starts with at least knowing what that cost is going to be. So do your due diligence to get all that down. But the general idea would be, how much did it cost for me to have people show up and do the work? How much did the materials cost? How many units did I sell? And then you divide the first two numbers, you add those together, and you divide that by the amount of units you sold. And that would give you that number. So if you spent $100 on labor and you spent $300 on food, you've got a total cost of $400. And let's say you sold, 100 meals, just keep the math easy. That puts you at $4 per meal cost. And again, that's the other thing, is that I wanted to put numbers in here that were somewhat real, but it's relative to your business. It's based on the quality of food. Honestly, not to toot my own horn, not to toot our own horn, but it was very competitive to be in the meal prep business when we started, or at least we thought. That's what everyone was telling us. So our differentiator was, we're going to be the high quality one. So we intentionally do larger portions, higher quality ingredients, a lot of organic stuff, a lot of hormone free, like all those buzzwords, nothing's frozen. So our food costs are higher. Our margins are going to be tighter. So I didn't want to do it off of our numbers. And also the level that we're at with our staff. Like you'll see down here, this is actually this hasn't been touched in years. So this is years and years ago that we were able to fit 300 meals on here, 300 clients on here. Let's talk about that section. So speaking of labor, I have it broken down, and here's some ideas of the labor. All of this stuff is in a formula. So if you guys need extra cells or any extra space, I wouldn't mess with anything because I don't want to waste time reprogramming or redoing it for you. So what I would do is just consolidate them. So not that a lot of you are going to have a team that's bigger than this, but if you did, just consolidate, and because it's not as crucial to know exactly for the purposes of the pro forma, it's not as crucial to know the individual pay of certain people and whatever else. Like a lot of these are already consolidated where you might have several prep people. Like this might be for 2 prep people, and I just put them on the same line item because that's like the line item of expenses. So anyway, this would show you the production expenses, the back of the house, front of the house. So director of operations, logistics, human resources person. In reality, we didn't have those. I don't think we ever did. Well, we had logistics, but human resources, that was probably just filling a space for, that could be your salesperson or your sales/customer service person. You just the important thing is to know at the bottom number, because that's where the next formula that's waiting on these numbers to determine the cost, that's where it's going to be getting it from, if it's being used anywhere at all. I can't remember for sure. Here's your, typical overhead, cable, office supplies. Office supplies, we kind of wrapped everything in there. Anything that wasn't, essential. I think we put in like a, in any case, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into specifics and bore you guys, but this line over here has a code in it that will divide, what that cost ends up being per meal. So then you're looking at it as, okay, our electric bill, figured into the cost of the meal actually comes down to this much. And the more meals we move, the lower that percentage goes, as long as our electric doesn't scale equally to that. So we're actually able to get a little bit more profit out of this. And rent is a fixed cost. So as long as rent is fixed, we're actually able to squeeze out more margin per meal by moving more meals. So you're able to get a closer relationship with some of those costs. Again, this isn't necessary. A lot of pro formas probably wouldn't have this. I kind of went a little bit crazy with stuff, and you can see how they're like all just added in sections where I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting to know that. Let me just add it to the calculator. But yeah, this goes into just about everything. And this will do, what your average tickets are. So you can, know what your numbers are. A lot of people, if you're not putting a minimum on your meals. So let's say, a lot of companies will say you have to order a minimum of 10 meals. We didn't do that. And we noticed that we have some people now who are grandfathered in, and are allowed to do that, because we noticed that our average meal ticket was dropping below 10. So that meant that there were more people who were ordering less than 10 meals in order. It's getting to like 9 point something. And that's where like a lot of the assumptions of the business, a lot of the assumptions that you're making financially don't work. A lot of times you want to base it off of, okay, well, if the average ticket is 10, or if the average ticket is, 12 meals or whatever it ends up being, then you kind of base a lot of your planning off of that. When you start noticing that very like foundational number starts changing in a trend that's much lower, then a lot of the other numbers don't work. So I say that to just bring light to or bring attention to how important some of these numbers can be, and how you'll use them to make decisions. Really think, don't just look at them. Like when you get some numbers, figure out what numbers are alarming, figure out what numbers can be moved in a more favorable way. Like go through each one of these sections, and some are going to be less important than others, but some are hopefully going to spark an idea where you can tighten something down and make some improvements where you notice something that might not be as apparent. Like unless you get into the data and you actually have some numbers and some stuff to look at, a lot of it's just based off assumptions. And that could be really dangerous. If you're assuming that your average ticket is, 12 meals, and you're basing, your average, price is 10 because you have, $10 a meal because you have a mixture of different pricing programs. Then you actually find out that more people are prepaying, so they're getting more discounts than you realized. And the actual average price per meal is 9. And that means your margin can't be higher than, X, and you just lost an extra dollar of margin of profit that you were including in, your forecasting. Here's the other thing to think about. Let's say worst case scenario, just to use round numbers, and these aren't real numbers, but let's say my real meal cost ended up being $8. And let's say I was wholesaling meals or something for $10, or I thought it was $10. If someone discounts that to then $9, it seems like you're just losing $1 per unit, right? You're losing 50% of your profit, because the first $8 is out the window. The first $8 is gone. That's what it costs to get that unit there. So you're out $8 off the bat. So then you're only playing with $2. There's only $2 on the table. So that $1 discount per meal is costing you 50%. So all of the effort, all of the risk, all of everything that you've assumed to get that there and have, everything that goes to getting that meal on that plate, the rent, the hiring people, the training people, the labor, the costs, the getting food there, all of that behind you, all that effort and hard work is now the reward for that is cut in half. So not saying don't discount, but be very mindful of how you discount. Hopefully seeing these numbers will make you realize like, oh man, like discounting at $1, well, that just means like the rent, the electric, the gas, and the cable that we're all covered for that $1. See right there. So that's your $1 discount right there. Like if you knew your rent and everything else cost you $1 per meal at your volume, discounting at $1, it's like that salesman discounting somebody to make the deal happen. Now that's something that comes out of your pocket instead of being paid by that meal purchase. So don't mean to keep on going off in these rants, but I think there's some knowledge somewhere in them. And then these are some summaries up here. It breaks it down so you know what your weekly salary ends up being, what it looks like monthly. And then here's what's cool. So you're able to, play with this at different levels. So again, I got a meal price at 10, and that's because our meal prices varied, or they still vary. So that should have been based off of, if I was doing my due diligence like a good business owner, I would have based this number off of the reports through our software. So that would have given us an idea of, how much income we had based on units sold. Like you don't have to go through and be like, okay, we've got 5 people at $9 buying 10 meals and 12 meals. That gets too crazy. Simple way to do the math is how many units were sold, meals, how many meals were sold, and how much meal revenue was brought in. Not taxes, not your delivery fee, but just off the meal revenue. You should be able to get that easily through your processing system. Then you divide the dollar amount by the unit amount, and that gives you the average price you're charging for the meal. Like I said, if you have a variety, like at the time that we made this, we probably had like I think it was probably priced $9 to $12. And then we increased it we increased our price every year by $1 until I think last year. That's when we stopped, capped out at $14, $18 for premium meals. In any case, this is the average. And now what I'm able to do is play around. And again, I haven't looked through all these numbers. Okay, that's zeroed out. I haven't looked through all these numbers. So don't go crazy with whatever numbers I put up here. Don't expect it to be, it could be better or worse, depending on a lot of variables. Even if everything is right based on Fit Food Fresh's scenario, you might not have the profit margins we had. You might have better than us. You might have no profit because you're horrible at math. So I'm not making any promises here, but I'm showing you how the software works. Okay, so let's say we only had 100 members. Oh, see, man, I'm so clever. I put, there I am, pat myself on the back. I put a code in here. I put a condition in here to change this red when it goes negative. So as you can see, if this business was only had 100 clients, so 100 clients, 100 orders a week, averaging 10 meals per order. So that's 1,000. And with this food cost and this average price making $6 a meal, we would actually be going negative. Why? Well, the rent was $9,000. So I know just by being at these levels before, and look at the staff I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. I've got 8 people to make 1,000 meals a week. So yeah, this business would be dead. They would have to have a lot of money to be bleeding out $1,200. They're paying $1,200 a week to stay in business, basically. So this is no bueno. Now, if they start growing, and obviously the big scenario is I wouldn't have this staff here. So, and actually, you know what? I also remember I made this table adjust to pull the salary off of based on what the the amount of clients you have. So I've built this to incorporate the scaling. So this is incorporating this level of salary. If I increase the clients to 150 clients a week, it should also increase, if I'm correct, should also increase the salaries to the 150 amount over here. At the time, we were paying the chef, I guess, more based on volume. And that, look, and the volume doesn't make sense. I've got them making higher amount down here. So I've played around with these numbers. So you guys have to go in there and put your own numbers. Again, only adjust the boxes that have shading in them. Don't touch any of the white boxes. So anyway, in this scenario, let's say we go up to 150. Watch, the salaries should change. That's all the salaries here combined. So as you see, 4,100, that should be what was here. Yeah, at 100 people, 4,100 is the weekly salary. See, man, I'm good. I forgot how good I was. Look at that. Okay, so at 150, now we're profitable. So two things you want to take from this. Don't have a crazy staff. Even with this is still a pretty decent sized staff for only 150 members. So staff, and also in this, I am assuming that we're charging delivery, but I'm also taking delivery out of the equation. So if you guys don't offer delivery, no problem. If you guys over here, this is where you'd adjust that. So right here, see delivery fee, that's what we're charging, and delivery cost. So I have delivery at 0. Now, if you guys aren't charging for delivery, you will want to change this box, and that's fine because as you notice, it's not got a formula in it. If you ever want to change a box, it might be okay, but the only way you're going to know is if you click on it and there's no formula here. So I would change this to 0 if I didn't have a delivery fee, and then I have to put down my weekly cost. So if you do 2 deliveries a week, which is what we do, we just charge $15 a week. It's $15, but like I said, it cancels itself out. So everything else is accounted for up here. So the staff does not include delivery, and I have separated that. And like I said, that behooves you guys who may or may not have delivery, and allows you to play with all that. The food cost is up here, the gross food revenue. So this is not counting the delivery revenue, because again, I separate that all over here so you don't have to deal with it. It's zeroed out here because we're not charging anything. Let me see if I have a formula there. I do. Look at that. Formula for C24. So it's taking it from right there. Boom, boom. Clever kid I am. And then here's our profit. So at 150, if you were to overhire and take a rent space that was $9,000 a month, and you're going through $2,000 in electric, $1,000 in gas, $1,000 in cable and phone. Okay, so these numbers need to be adjusted. I don't know why I have $1,000 for cable and phone. I probably, you know how I was talking before about truncating stuff on one line item. That's probably what I did when I was playing with the scenario last, or who knows. And that's what's cool about this is it allows you to start forecasting stuff. So it's like, okay, our food cost is $6, and that puts us in the negative. But if we can maybe do some more, turkey, ground turkey items, or some more meatball items, and then if we get our clients up to 160, is that, so you're able to start playing around and start seeing where your break even is if you're running in debt, or where your profit really is going to be. And you'll be like, okay, well, if we can hold off picking up another sous chef and we can just work with an executive chef and some cooks, that'll save us X dollars a week. And then if we are able to work this deal out where we have another 20 clients from this one company, but they have a discount and they get a special rate since they're coming as a group, but we have them committed to a minimum of X amount of meals, we can guarantee this amount a week. So you start playing with it and you can start planning things out. Also, hopefully you guys won't have to encounter this, but if there's a situation where you have to start going down, heaven forbid that happens. But if there's a situation where things would be more comfortable, maybe you don't have to start planning for going down, but maybe you've reached a plateau where you can't grow without changing up your game. If for some reason you hit a glass ceiling, you're in a small town, there's only so many people, and until you expand your delivery radius, or until you get, I don't know what the situation is, but planning for growth, plateaus, and going down is all beneficial when you're able to get the data to start interacting with itself. So this isn't going to be where you go to get the initial information. This is going to be where you go to get more perspective of that information. So you getting, your revenue from your ordering system, and your food costing from, your your Visa bill, your Amex bill, and all of the invoices and everything. Figuring that stuff out, and to go back to food costs really quick, I forgot to mention this when I was discussing it before. Waste is another thing, as well as items that are going to be left over for the next week. Those are also things that you want to consider, because sometimes you'll purchase a case of something that'll cost on one week, go to the next. Those are things that you'll get more specific with. But in any case, this is the looking glass that you're going to use to put all those things into focus and kind of see them. I've even got, look at this. This is like pro level stuff. I've even got graphics here. It's a pie chart. Super professional, and impressed with myself right now, huh? But what I mean is, in all seriousness, this is a great tool if you have it all dialed in correctly, and it's only as accurate as the information that you put in it. So you could be putting in, these hypothetical numbers where it's like, oh, well, what if we did this? What if we do that? That's great, and that's good for planning. But most importantly, putting accurate information in here, actually knowing what your food cost is, not just thinking about what your food cost is. And then also making the proactive decisions once you have this information. Don't just look at it. Like I said before, go through each one of these and go, how can I get this down? How can I get 50 cents? What happens when I drop this by 50 cents? Okay, I'm making $3.84 a week. Drop that by 50 cents. And just make it $4. Holy peepers. That's not bad. So it went from, let's see that again. So it's a $11.84, $700 difference, $800 difference, $800 difference, 50 cents on your food cost. That's nuts, right? Well, you're making 1,600 meals. So 50 cents times 1,600, $800 even, Steven. That's nice, right? You want an extra $800 a week? This is the thing. Hopefully I want to hear the feedback. I want to hear someone say, I use that really convoluted, crazy spreadsheet you call a pro forma, and I realized that by putting more meatballs on our menu and getting our average food cost down. Because again, with this, talking about food cost, you might have some meals that are costing you $6 to make them between labor and materials. And then with this, there also might be some that are costing you $2.50. It's getting an average of $4.50. And that's the number that you're going to get when you do that sloppy version of math. You take my weekly food spend divided by the units I sold. Now, if you get more specific, you'll not only know what your real weekly cost is, but you'll also get an idea of what each meal is, running you. And you'll want to run the term loss leader is usually it's used to describe an item that is kept for sale that is intentionally like very low margin or sometimes even a loss, but it is good for getting an initial sale and getting people in the store. Like, Steak and Shake right now is giving out free fries. You just got to come up, and I don't even know if you have to place an order, but they're giving out free fries. And I know with the pandemic, Starbucks was doing free coffees for their well, I guess free isn't the best example, but there's certain items where it behooves you to have them on your menu, even if you're making very small margin or maybe even losing money. Hopefully you're not going to lose money on it, but at least something with a very small margin would make sense to have on the menu if that's something that has people putting their orders in. And if they order like 2 of those and then 8 of, your meatballs or some other item that has crazy margin, then it's worth it. So this number, keep that in mind, that this is going to reflect the average, and you can bring that average down. You put steak on your menu less, that average is going to come down. You start doing, if you have it within your business's definition, if you're going to use frozen items, that'll obviously bring your cost down. There's, turkey patties and, turkey burger patties and stuff like that come frozen. And that's definitely cheaper than our cost to make turkey burgers from scratch. And I assure you, you put, turkey meatballs and turkey burgers on your menu instead of steak and wild salmon and, shrimp. You're going to be bringing this cost down a bit. So be strategic with it. But I think that's enough. I think you guys have enough information to be dangerous with this thing. So again, check out the link below. If you are interested in the software, link for that below. We've got the private group, which I invite you to come check out. The link to all of that stuff is below. Plus on my website, I've got a ton of free stuff. There's a free beginners bootcamp. I've got another idea for another bootcamp that I'm outlining right now, and that should be up. And I think we'll see when it's up. There's another bootcamp already up for Snapchat. So there's a ton of stuff, a lot of free stuff on my site. Also, if you're interested in consulting, you can book that through my site as well. Get in there, be dangerous, and see what you can figure out about your own business by getting it all laid out in one place.